I'm like going, well, I'd like to help, but I've got to get my stuff figured out. And then, oh God, I don't want to steal the thunder because it's your thing. You know, it's like your baby. You know, I'll babysit for a little bit, but I'm not gonna guarantee the kid's gonna look the same afterwards.
But that would be really, I think, for me, kind of ideal pipe dream kind of way to keep kind of growing and building the site, and that would be having people working those specific areas that would then leave me maybe to just do the show version and go over all that media, or to maybe begin to focus on maybe just doing more interview type shows like a Red Ice Radio style or any number of things. But yeah, I mean,
well, it can easily build into a network of different shows.
Yeah.
Which is always something that I'm like, I almost fantasize about it whenever you're like doing your weekly show. I'm just like, oh gosh, you know what you could do. If you know what you could do.
Yeah,
you know.
if with a Cyber Space War show, and some of those things you and I have talked about.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, I mean, there's plenty of times even my coworkers, like I've gotten quite a few of my coworkers to actively listen and look at your website, and they're sitting there going, "Gosh, how do I help? I don't know anything. Oh my God, I don't know anything." And they kind of panic about it, but it's just like, it's because it's got that kind of magic, like feel to it, because you run a good show.
Thank you.
You run a really good show.
Thanks.
And so people listen to it and they're like, "Oh gosh, he's such a professional. I can't even hold a candle to that." But it's not like you went to college to do exclusively this.
No,
you've been learning on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, now
it's patience.
I went to college and have a degree in communications, but that covered speech and debate, and all those sort of other kind of general things. No, this was something my own kind of passion and interest kind of brought me into.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to go back to the questions.
Okay,
now.
please.
I think we bounced around enough.
Oh, and then we can do lightning round at the end.
Round, quick, let's do it all. Well, actually, we touched on this a bit in the past here, but so yeah, going back to the graveyard shifts, it's like when we were both listening to 9/11 Synchronicity and just like actively pursuing everything that Richard Grove was putting out at that point in time, which was a huge amount of data. It was quite fascinating, but yeah, it's a question of, like, you were just starting the show at about that time, and he wasn't even done with Synchronicity yet.
No.
Like, you had just started that, and so I've always wondered, like, at what point, like, did the show Synchronicity, like, push you to, like, motivate you to go even further and faster with what you were working on?
I think it probably did. I mean, I can't say that had there not been 9/11 Synchronicity that I wouldn't have started Media Monarchy radio show. And again, now that it's several years past, I can't remember the exact kind of chain of events. But no, I feel absolutely the kind of birth and that, that spark to put, I guess, kind of not the finishing move, but to really kind of kick it into motion, I think ran, concurrently with being turned on and being so kind of energized by 9/11 Synchronicity. That was, that kind of last push of just sort of like, I think I know what I want to do with this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I totally had a similar thing going on with that. It was just like, you wanted to see what the Pentagon photos look like, and that's what led you into doing your own research. And for me, I was always skeptical of stuff, but it was really 9/11 Synchronicity that made me go, I need to be asking more questions. So do you think Synchronicity would be something to recommend to other people who want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the show, that's what's genius about the way he kind of built it, is that it grows and builds. So if you start from episode 1, you kind of start from the ground floor, or even, as he would say, get under the building to the foundation, so you can have the understanding. It goes in a way in order that slowly fleshes out, I think, the big picture. So
it's enough of a narrative that it's kind of like you're going on a journey of a story, and everybody likes a good story.
Absolutely. For folks who are listening, to audiobooks and things that are, countless hours long, 9/11 Synchronicity is also, I don't even know how many hours.
I think the final episode was about 17 hours long.
That
was one episode.
As a single podcast. So that was the thing. it got bigger, and it made more demands on you as it went along for you to stay tuned in
and think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like I found myself continuously looking up stuff that I had just heard of. You know, like I'm obsessed with Terrence McKenna. I never even heard of the guy before Richard Grove. That was awesome. But specifically when it comes to staying motivated, there's plenty of times we all get bogged down with, way too many plates to spin, as it were. And besides technical information for people who are more interested in becoming the media rather than just hating it,
or not paying attention to it at
all. Yes, I've watched plenty of people just shut down and tune out.
Maybe they aren't totally crazy.
No. I can understand it. I just don't do it. But basically, how do you stay motivated, and what kind of mental or psychological pitfalls do you now know how to avoid?
I think early on, and I was thinking of this when you were talking about how people that maybe when they first get turned on to things, and not just Media Monarchy, but any kind of alternative media, that you have this spark and it's like, oh, I want to do something, but in a way it's almost that you need to still kind of do more homework as you're getting turned on to things, because in a way, because essentially I think most the information war is waged kind of one-on-one. I think that's always been for me the most kind of successful way to talk about any of this kind of stuff, has been with people, with friends, with family, with coworkers, and people that that you can kind of figure out what they're interested in. But to stay motivated, I guess it's just being a media geek. I mean, I think that's what I've said, is that I basically kind of shifted from, indie rock to alternative media. And in a way, both have had so many kind of exciting developments. And that was the thing for me, that, all through the 90s and 2000s, the developments in indie rock or alternative media, it's just another form of alternative media.
Exactly.
This has all kind of been another form of alternative media, and it's always kind of been the stuff that I've been turned on to, I think throughout my life. So whether it's news and politics or whether it's music or film, I think the constant fascination of things and the fact that there is something constantly moving forward. I guess it seems a little odd to kind of compare earthquakes and horrible events with, that new record from or whoever that. And I hope in a way that, and I think I said earlier in the show, I get comments on the New World Next Week videos that I guess sometimes bug me, more than they should. And that's the thing about anytime you put yourself out there in any way, you're going to be open to criticism. But I guess I didn't really realize until I started to do the videos with James Corbett, and then your face is out there. And then you get all those kind of ridiculous criticisms about your facial hair and what you do and how you look and your mannerisms and why is that guy always smiling? I think I, in a way, just try and keep some kind of lighthearted aspect to all of the stuff that we cover. To go back to saying, when you first get turned on to things, you get the feeling from, and that was really what helped turn me on to things, was folks like Alex Jones. But when that's your turn on and that's your key into all of this, it can give you the impression that, oh my God, martial law tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that every event is that catalyzing thing, and it's crap hit the fan, and that's what you feel like. And I went through a lot of that.
Yeah.
Of just, oh my God, this is, I think you end up making moves that just turn people off and scare people. And you can see, and I saw it myself through things that I, would post fervently or email out to people about, this is it, this thing's going to happen tomorrow, false flag, martial law, is that you can only cry wolf so many times before people aren't paying attention.
Exactly.
So we kind of need to wait and parse things and figure out how to make it all make sense to people without scaring people away, but to also at least kind of impress that there are serious, real things going on.
There are things to be paid attention to.
But I think hopefully that's why I try and mix so many things together in the show, that maybe the music and the clips and the slick production is the sugar that can help the medicine go down. I mean, yeah.
Well, you do a pretty good job being objective about all these things. You don't get emotional. generally speaking. I haven't really noticed.
But is that? I think that as far as like staying motivated, I think just the being excited about current developments and events.
Well, it's important because it affects people, and that's your driving
Mm-hmm.
factor right there.
Question the next.
Question the next. Question the next. Obviously, I've got a lot of practice in this. All right. Let's go back to Radio 23, actually.
Okay.
Because I had a couple of... Here we go. Yeah, so what... Are they like, making any sort of, like, moves that you see as being just a... Like, do you think Radio 23 is kind of like the alternative media that really seals the deal at this point? Or do you think there's something better that we could be doing collectively to be working together? Maybe using that as a jumping off point?
I think, using that as a jumping off point, as the telephone rings in the studio. Sorry, folks, I can't answer the phone. I'm live on the air as I hang up on you. But, I mean, I can't speak for Jeff, but I would have to say, that he's probably really stoked by what radio23.org has kind of grown into, and they now have, like I said, multiple channels. Cascade Community Radio that just has, Pacific Northwest broadcasters and content. And I think there's also been a push to kind of get a non-commercial FM station here in Portland that would be local music, and I think some of that exists in KZME and some of these other places that, again, I'm not fully, versed on.
Okay. Yeah, it's one of those things where I've definitely heard a few things, but just wanted to know if you...
Well, and I mean, absolutely. I'd like to think that things like Radio 23 are a future and the future of alternative media. It can't all be that way. I mean, that's the angle for folks, who are into radio. There's going to be something else maybe for video or for folks who... theater, music, I think there's going to be hopefully viable ways for those arts and communications to still exist through the changes that may be coming. I guess the fear is basically that, Media Monarchy, Radio 23, Tragedy and Hope, all these outlets can be a form of, new, forward-thinking, alternative media, but it's still difficult when you know that we're dependent on the lines that are owned by AT&T or Comcast and those sort of the means of delivery.
Sort of like gatekeepers.
But, as long as we can use it, openly, and it is as long as everyone has as much access as anyone else, I think there will still be that more of a gravitational move towards alternative media. And that's what we talked about, keeping things local, and whether that's food or whether that's theater or Kickstarter, and again, all these ways that can help grow and foster our own kind of communities, all still with the caveat of, Kickstarter, it's like that's all still online.
Oh yeah,
there has to be in some way, I guess, some kind of preparation for what if the EMP goes off and you don't have internet for however long amount of time.
Started on a local level, it was a good idea online. As a potential.
But, I guess it's covering a lot of different angles and not, I guess, maybe having all the eggs in one basket.
Nice.
But, I mean, I'm hopeful for Radio 23 and PRA and, all the other outlets.
Well, speaking of other outlets, you mentioned a moment ago Tragedy and Hope, and I heard